There was once a young boy, born into a life of struggle and scarcity. His family was so poor that the pangs of hunger were a constant companion, and the weight of their hardship felt like a heavy cloak he could never shrug off. Every day was a battle for survival, a desperate scramble for the next meal. He watched his parents toil from dawn till dusk, their faces etched with worry, their bodies weary from endless labor. Yet no matter how hard they worked, they seemed to be running in place, trapped in a cycle of poverty that offered no escape. The world around him was a bleak landscape of want and despair. He saw other children with toys he could only dream of, wearing clean clothes while his were tattered and worn. He yearned for a life where his stomach didn't ache with emptiness, where he could go to bed without the gnawing fear of what tomorrow would bring. One evening, as he sat alone, watching the sun dip below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, a profound sadness washed over him. Tears welled up in his eyes, not just for himself, but for his family. He whispered to the twilight, "Why? Why must we suffer so much? Is this all life has to offer?" In that moment of deep despair, a quiet but firm voice echoed in his mind. It wasn't an external voice, but one that seemed to rise from the very depths of his soul. It said, "The life you are living is not the life you are destined for. Your circumstances do not define you, your thoughts do." This inner voice sparked something within him, a flicker of hope in the vast darkness. He began to question the reality he had always accepted. What if his poverty wasn't a permanent sentence? What if his future wasn't predetermined by his present? He started observing the world with new eyes. He noticed that the people who seemed to have everything he lacked, wealth, success, happiness, carried themselves differently. They spoke with confidence, they acted with purpose, and most importantly, they seemed to believe in themselves and their ability to shape their own destinies. He realized the problem wasn't just his empty pockets, it was his empty mindset. He had been so consumed by what he didn't have that he had never considered what he could have. His thoughts had been small, confined by the walls of his poverty. He decided right then and there to change his thinking. He resolved to think big, to dream of a life beyond his current reality. It was a terrifying leap of faith. How could a boy with nothing dare to dream of everything? But he knew it was the only way out. He began a simple but powerful exercise. Every day, he would find a quiet spot and close his eyes. He would visualize the life he wanted. He saw himself in a beautiful home, with a table laden with delicious food. He imagined his parents, their faces free from worry, smiling and laughing. He pictured himself as a successful, respected man, able to provide for his family and help others who were struggling just as he was now. At first, these were just fleeting images, daydreams that felt distant and impossible. But he persisted. Day after day, he painted these pictures in his mind with vivid detail, pouring all his emotion and desire into them. He started to feel the joy of that future life as if it were already his. This mental shift began to change his actions. He was no longer just a passive victim of his circumstances. He became an active seeker of opportunities. He started reading every book he could get his hands on, borrowing from a small, dusty library in his town. He filled his mind with knowledge, with stories of great men and women who had risen from humble beginnings to achieve incredible things. Their stories became his fuel, proving that his dreams were not foolish fantasies. He learned that every successful person had faced obstacles, but they had refused to let those obstacles define them. They had a vision, and they held on to it with unwavering belief. He started talking to people, asking questions, learning from their experiences. He found a mentor, an old shopkeeper who saw the fire in the boy's eyes. The shopkeeper taught him about business, about the value of hard work, integrity, and perseverance. He gave the boy small tasks to do around the shop, and the boy performed them with an enthusiasm and diligence that impressed everyone. He wasn't just working for a few coins, he was working towards his vision. Every task, no matter how small, was a step closer to the life he was building in his mind. Years passed. The boy grew into a young man. The journey was far from easy. There were countless moments of doubt, setbacks that tested his resolve, and people who told him he was wasting his time, that a poor boy like him could never break free. But every time he felt like giving up, he would close his eyes and revisit his vision. He would remember the feeling of that future life, the promise he had made to himself that evening as a young boy. His belief was his shield against the negativity and his compass through the uncertainty. Slowly but surely, his reality began to align with his vision. The small opportunities led to bigger ones. The knowledge he had acquired opened doors he never knew existed. His reputation for hard work and honesty spread, and people began to trust him. He started his own small business, built on the principles he had learned and the unshakable belief in his own potential. The business grew, and with it his prosperity. One day, he stood before a beautiful home, his home. His parents were inside, their faces radiating a peace and happiness he had only ever seen in his dreams. The table was laden with food, more than they could ever eat. He had done it. He had transformed his life not through magic, but through the sheer power of his thoughts. The boy with empty pockets had become a man of abundance, not just in wealth, but in spirit. He looked back on his journey and understood the profound truth his inner voice had revealed to him all those years ago. Our lives are a reflection of our thoughts. If you think small, you will live small. If you are consumed by lack, you will experience lack. But if you dare to think big, if you dare to believe in a reality beyond what your eyes can see, you unleash a power within you that can move mountains. Your mind is the architect of your destiny. What you build in your imagination with unwavering faith and persistent action, you can create in your reality. This story is not just about a boy. It's about you. It's about the incredible power that lies dormant within your mind. What are the limiting beliefs you are holding on to? What are the empty pockets in your own life that are holding you back? I want you to understand that your current situation is just a temporary state, not your final destination. You have the ability to change your life by changing your thoughts. Start today. Dare to dream a bigger dream for yourself. Visualize the life you truly want to live. See it, feel it, believe in it with every fiber of your being. Nurture that vision with positive thoughts, with knowledge, and with action. Let go of the why me and embrace the why not me. Your thoughts are seeds. Plant seeds of abundance, of success, of happiness, and watch as your life blossoms into a beautiful garden. The journey begins not in your hands, but in your head. Think big, and you will become big.